So today we're going to look at the Sweet Baby Ink disaster. I have seen Sweet Baby Ink words everywhere, and it's kind of hard to miss with such a unique name. I do know it's a company that is a consultant or a consulting company for video games. It says the company seeks to modify video game narratives, but with two sides pitted against each other on the basis of politics. On the basis of politics, the reality surrounding the company has become extremely distorted. Yeah, like people are mad at this company. I chose this video by Upper Echelon because it seems to go over the entire situation instead of like one or two things that they're doing wrong. So I do want to watch this video. So let's get started. Hopefully it clears up like
this video is
the
brought
full
to you by
story.
Keeps. Stick around to hear more about the special offer they're providing to the entire Upper Echelon community. All right, today I want to talk about the Sweet Baby Ink disaster, a story that gained widespread media traction over the past couple of weeks because it feels like pretty much everyone talking about this is deliberately missing the point. And a lot of people are talking past each other in a way where they get to stoke the fires of resentment in their own audience, but they do so at the expense of pretty much any meaningful outreach to the other side. Here's the background. For a few months now, maybe
like
longer,
where did this
possibly
begin?
longer, but I wasn't aware of it back then, so I can't speak to that. There's been this theory going around about a company called Sweet Baby Incorporated. I did my own video on that theory a little while ago, specifically featuring Sweet Baby Inc. and also discussing the general trend of narrative development in video games and the concept of going woke with an effort to actually define the term instead of using it as an all-encompassing boogeyman, which in my opinion went pretty well, by the way. Much more recently, however, the discourse surrounding Sweet Baby Inc. has basically metastasized into something entirely different, and the whole thing got a lot more messy. The first thing I want to do here,
it seems pretty messy to me,
is define a term. Everyone watching this has likely already heard of that term, but not everyone knows where it comes from, and believe you me when I say this, I don't know if there could ever possibly be a better example of this term indirect action than the situation involving Sweet Baby Incorporated. The Streisand effect, that's the term. And loosely speaking, it refers to a situation where Barbara Streisand attempted to suppress a photograph of her Malibu home, thereby causing that photograph to gain widespread notoriety in the media as well as publicity. It's actually a fascinating story by itself. A photographer who provided photos to scientists for the purpose of documenting coastal erosion had taken aerial photographs of this mansion and then...
I didn't know that was what they were doing. It wasn't some kind of paparazzi. It was just a guy like documenting her house location, like the ground it was on. That's kind of... So she freaked out over that.
Distributed the photographs online, spurring Barbara Streisand to sue him on that basis for $50 million. Funnily enough, at the time of her lawsuit, the photo had been downloaded, I think, just 6 times, 2 of those times being her own lawyers for the case.
Right, like who would have known that's her house? I mean, 6 times. Yeah, he apparently didn't say so.
Just 4 public downloads became the subject of a $50 million lawsuit by a famous celebrity.
That's embarrassing.
To now immortalized pop culture saying where that celebrity's actual name is forever synonymous with fucking up so bad you actually create the problem you were trying to suppress. Yeah. Which is kind of fantastic. Sweet Baby Inc. has basically executed a modern-day version of that precise maneuver, which is equal parts hilarious and also pathetic. So what happened? Well, for starters, we need to know exactly what Sweet Baby Incorporated actually does, but I'll make it as brief as I can. From their website, quote, "Founded in 2018, Sweet Baby Incorporated is a narrative development and consultation studio based in Montreal and working around the globe. Our mission is to tell better, more empathetic stories while diversifying and enriching the video games industry. We aim to make games more engaging, more fun, more meaningful, and more inclusive for everyone," end quote. Further down, quote again, "We believe you need diverse voices to solve diverse problems. Sweet Baby Incorporated provides narrative consultation at any stage of development, boasting a talented team with vetted industry experience to best bring your story to life," end quote.
What does that mean, though? At any stage of development? Like, am I missing something? Is that supposed to be a good thing?
And then lastly, it's a lot, I know, but we need this foundation before understanding how the train completely derailed. Lastly, quote, "We believe that representation is key to connecting players and audiences, and we offer a few ways to help your team and project gain the perspective needed to make it happen. We're part of an inclusive and knowledgeable community of diverse consultants able to cover a wide range of cultural and sensitivity topics. Our approach leads with the creation of joy in marginalized
cultural and sensitivity topics. I always look at the way things are written, and I always try to decide if it's like just word vomit, like they're just trying to write something, or if it actually makes sense, you know?
And seeks to be additive rather than strictly corrective. We do consultation, cultural consultation, sensitivity and inclusivity reading, risk and opportunities assessment, and
I see where this is going.
That basically covers it. Sweet Baby Inc. is a narrative consultation firm. They help modify video game stories to be more diverse, inclusive, and sensitive, while partnering up with a pretty wide range of very, very prominent developers and publishers. Here's the thing. That's been pretty well established for quite some time, and regardless of anyone's personal feelings about it or speculations about how much influence the company actually exerts on the projects that they're involved in, they've persisted for years now, bouncing from contract to contract. Enter Steam.
Well,
Steam, as most people will probably know, is the largest video game distribution platform on Earth. You could possibly argue against that because of mobile game platforms or something, but that's a joke, and I would laugh
get the point.
Steam is the premier PC gaming store, and one of the features it offers is the curator function. In essence, this is just a group of games that you can put together. They can be listed together for pretty much any reason at all. But in this particular case, the tool was used to create a list of games where Sweet Baby Incorporated was involved directly in their development, specifically so that people could avoid buying and playing those titles. Now, at first, this was a relatively small group of people. Yes, people know about Sweet Baby. Yes, they are deeply unpopular with a pretty large chunk of the general player base right now, or they were back then. But for the most part, people just really don't care. Well, that all changed when Sweet Baby employees began to aggressively try to get the Steam group taken down, sparking off an incredible demonstration of the Strand Effect in action, which catapulted the topic to mainstream gaming media websites and pushed over 250,000 people so far, just as of the making of this video, to follow the very same group that they were trying desperately to suppress. Good job, guys. All right, time for the video sponsor. YouTube's not the most reliable income source. It's great, don't get me wrong. Other platforms honestly don't come close, relatively speaking. But the thing I'm really talking about here is income security, which is provided by sponsors such as Keeps. The value of that can't really be overstated. They effectively make it possible for me to do this full time in the first place. All of it boils down to demographics. That's the golden relationship between an advertiser and a channel, which in this particular case is about as good as it could possibly get. Most of you are men, ages 18 to 45. That's just pretty much all of you. Keeps is a hair loss prevention product with more 5-star reviews than any current competitor. You can order and get treated directly from your own home for about half the cost when compared to other products. And they offer generic versions of the only 2 FDA-approved hair loss treatments on the entire market. They also have a 2-in-1 gel that combines both of them. For a special offer to get started, go to keeps.com/UEG or click the link down below in the description. That's KEEPS.com/UEG for a special offer right now with a link down below in the description. Keeps can help prevent, in some cases actually reverse the process of hair loss with treatments that come very conveniently, by the way, right to your door every...
See, I wonder about this though, because, okay, hair loss, it affects women too. It affects, you know, is there a different treatment for women versus men? Yeah, I just wonder that. like if I were to use this, would it help me too?
Every 3, 6, or 12 months. They also have a variety of additional products like shampoo, conditioner, etc., all of which are high quality, with a very long history of satisfied customers, making them the best option in the current market. So big thank you to Keeps for sponsoring the channel. Back on task. There's a couple of very good examples here, but the main one would probably be Chris Kindred, a writer at Sweet Baby Incorporated, who said, quote, "Report the fuck out of this group and report the creator since he loves his account so much."
Why?
That's obviously a breach from trying to even just report the thing that they don't like and push people to brigade another person and cancel them for doing something that the company doesn't like. I'm sure everyone can obviously guess what happened as a result, but for those that can't,
so lame.
This effort completely backfired. The Steam group began to...
That is so lame. Like, I can think of so many huge companies that probably get hate all the time. Like, why...
Go viral in a whole bunch of different online communities. Why would they be so upset over this? The number of players engaging with the topic skyrocketed. And then, as if the lesson had not already been learned, major gaming media publications started to jump on board, desperately trying to debunk things and play defense for this company as they torpedoed their own reputation. A whole slew of articles came out in rapid succession, such as this one. Sweet Baby Inc. doesn't do what some gamers think it does, from Kotaku. Or this one, a company called Sweet Baby Inc. has become the target of anti-woke gamers because it offers consultancy work, an industry standard service that's been normal for years.
The problem with the way that they reacted is they are all about inclusivity, right? That is their message. So if they're going to come out and just cuss someone out that doesn't agree with them or just doesn't like them or is just not their thing, like, that's the exact opposite of their message. That's the problem with claiming you're a nice guy, you know?
There's more. Nathan Grayson, the Mary Sue, etc., etc. But let me just read a few snippets now to demonstrate the type of way, I guess, that these articles are constructed. Quote from Kotaku.
Oh, by the way, can you buy these articles? Because I know you can pay for articles to be written about your company. Or like I could buy one right now and have, you know, if I have enough money, I can buy an article and have it posted on a lot of the popular news sites. So
Sweet Baby Inc. isn't forcing diversity. It's happening naturally.
Yeah, I'm about to say, is it possible that they bought this article?
Sweet Baby Inc. is a narrative design company, meaning most of its work is focused on writing stories and dialogue. They are not a DEI consultancy firm. That means they ensure a game's plot points make logical sense and are satisfying to players, and the characters speak and behave in consistent ways. Narrative designers may also provide a final round of polish like a Hollywood script doctor. For example, the team worked on Suicide Squad long after the story was written, and even then they joined just to write in-game ads, audio logs, and NPC barks. CEO Kim Belair tells me over video call. And
but is that the argument? Okay.
Here's one from PC Gamer, quote, Sweet Baby employees maintain that, overall, their job is to provide assistance to companies that already want to improve already existing diverse elements. As per the company's CEO, Kim Belair, but the perspective is never that we're coming in and injecting diversity. For the most part, it's the reverse. It's that a company has created a character that they want to make that character more representative and more interesting, end quote. Hopefully we can see what they're going for here, but in case you can't, the argument being made is that Sweet Baby Incorporated does not actually influence gaming narratives. This flurry of very, very defensive media articles center on the assertion that the company doesn't do what gamers think it does. That's literally the title from Kotaku. But what if I told you there's more to the story? What if I told you that these authoritative articles, pushed out at the 11th hour after the company Streisanded themselves, were missing a lot of context on how things actually look? To explain this, we need to focus on Kim Belair, who is the founder and CEO of Sweet Baby, and also the primary mouthpiece addressing the media right now in defense of the company's reputation. First thing, Kotaku directly cites Kim Belair and states that Sweet Baby only worked on Suicide Squad, quote, long after the story was written, end quote. However, looking at IMDb...
Yeah, like these words seem very... like nothing, you know what I mean? It just seems like words. Long after the story was written.
That doesn't seem to make sense to me.
Yeah.
In the official credits, we see names, 3 names, Grant K. Roberts, Amy Lee Shaw, and Kim Belair. Grant Roberts is a lead script writer. Amy Shaw was a junior writer, and Kim Belair was a regular writer. Kim Belair is obviously, as we've already stated multiple times, the CEO and founder, but Grant Roberts works as a narrative at Sweet Baby, meaning that a Sweet Baby employee held the position of lead script writer on a project where the CEO claims they came in long after the story was written and only wrote in-game ads, audio logs, and NPC barks. Forgive me for not quite understanding why someone who did tiny snippets of basically nothing on a project long after the story was written holds the official title of lead script writer. Next, we need to look at a relatively obscure YouTube channel called AC Sisterhood. On this channel, there is an interview with Kim Belair where she is pointedly asked a question by the host. Quote, are you able to influence how many or in what manner women and minorities are included in the planning stage of a game? Or can you only give feedback on existing characters already in the script? End quote. Remember, PC Gamer is running defense here, citing the CEO of the company in a statement that says, the perspective is never that we're coming in and injecting diversity. But here, in this particular obscure interview, Kim Belair asserts something entirely different, effectively stating that her whole mission is to do precisely that. Her express goal is to, quote, try and build a narrative and a story that include moments and elements custom made to bring representation and joy to people. And setting aside all personal opinion on that fundamental mission, like it, hate it, skeptical, supportive, I don't care. Setting all that aside, that statement juxtaposed against what the media is now saying to defend this company makes absolutely no sense. These are contradictory positions.
Well, it's called being dishonest. You know, it's called being dishonest. And why would she be dishonest about this? Because that's the actual truth, I guess. Because if you can come in before the story is written, you're creating the characters. You're not like editing in a little bit. I mean, it could all turn out the same way, but why lie about it? That's very odd.
The media is condemning the community for not understanding what the company actually does after the CEO quite literally said her mission is to do the precise thing that she now says never happens. Riddle me that one, Batman. But wait, there's more. I'll have to play this one because it's longer and I don't really want to transcribe the quote and read it all, but just listen to this while keeping in mind that the entire situation is now being deflected under the pretense that Sweet Baby Incorporated does not influence narratives and only does surface-level finishing touches.
And if you're in...
It's just sad. Like, if that was actually true, it would be fine, probably. Like, it's not as big of a deal.
And you are part
and I think
of, like,
she knows that.
Voice. You're like a cis hetero white dude or just adjacent to that. Do not wait until the end to call your consultants. Bring them in at the beginning, and instead of asking them, hey, is this very racist thing we did very racist? Or is this deeply offensive thing we did deeply offensive? Are you hurt by it? Ask them what they want to see. Like, ask them what would thrill them, what would bring them joy. And if you have a team lead, put that request to them very, very early. If you're a creative working at AAA, which I did for many, many years, put this stuff up to your higher-ups. And if they don't see the value in what you're asking for when you ask for consultants, when you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want. Because they have to consider, like, I say that out as a joke, but it's actually very, very true, because if you start to consider the people who are player and audience facing and who have to deal with mitigating harm and with keeping the sentiment around their game and their project positive, there's like a genuine value that you can impress upon them with both ethically and financially. You can say this is important.
Yeah, so this whole thing blew up because gamers believe that Sweet Baby Incorporated is forcing themselves or their desired perspective into their video games, while Kim Belair in 2019 was advocating that people do exactly that. But now the media is gaslighting everyone by pretending that's not a thing. Forgive me if I'm somehow misinterpreting the chain of events on display here, but that's what I see.
Hold on, I need him to say that again, because my mind was elsewhere.
Video games, while Kim Belair in 2019 was advocating that people do exactly that. But now the media is gaslighting everyone by pretending that's not a thing.
You're saying the media, okay, it's possible they bought these articles. Again, we have to consider this. You can look it up. You can go buy articles on a lot of popular online news channels, magazines, things like that. You can.
Forgive me if I'm somehow misinterpreting the chain of events on display here, but that's what I see. This kind of schism between what the media is now...
And you can even like write your own article and just send it to them, I think, you know, so we have to think of that.
Pretending in the philosophy that this company actually holds, at least the founder and CEO very clearly holds, is on full display as soon as you start to do even the most basic level of research, which obviously the media don't believe anyone is actually going to do. From an online blog called Complications Ensue, which Kim Belair spoke to in 2020, we can see, quote, "We have to look at story and narrative as one of the things that we can innovate on. Like when you bring someone in from a different culture, from a different background, from a different gender, they're going to create something that we haven't seen before. The way that we look at demographics is that we go, okay, the majority of our player base is, let's say, a white male. So we're going to make stuff for white males. But if you make something from the perspective of an Asian trans woman and it's really strong, then it will work for people. People crave new stories. If you want to innovate, even to stay current, it's not about graphics, it's not about hardware. It's about opening up new perspectives for people. So I explain it as it's important for game development to diversify. It's not just part of advocacy or activism. It is going to make your games better, end quote. I don't think that really needs to be analyzed. Okay, to be quite clear here, it's not technically wrong. You can absolutely make new games and new characters from new perspectives, and they can be amazing.
Wait a second. She's saying you have to make them a new perspective. Okay, so your main player base is white males. Not every game has a white male character in it. Like, what? Ugh. What she's saying is not, it's not really wrong, but the dishonesty to me already makes me suspicious of whatever she's going to say.
That is absolutely true. But you tell me, does that sound like someone at the ideological helm of a consulting company who wants to leave an existing narrative intact and simply polish it at the end stages? Or does it sound like someone viscerally interested in modifying the base product, being part of its construction since the very beginning, and transforming it into something that they believe is more valuable by fundamentally changing what it actually is, what it says, and who the target audience will be?
I would have to think about this one for a while. I would have to go back over the things that she said and the things the company claims, go over all the games they've, like, it would take a lot of research. I can see where it could be concerning, I suppose.
Seriously, you tell me. Again, right or wrong, doesn't matter. What does it sound like? Here's my point with all of this. Sweet Baby Inc. is not the root cause of everything wrong in gaming, okay? That's kind of a ridiculous premise. That's an over-exaggeration that opened the door for this level of disingenuous criticism in the first place. But it is an example of why there are so many problems. If it wasn't this company, it would be a different one, okay? The demand exists on a publisher level, and there's probably a large number of similar examples out there. But we have to be precise when we speak about this, because when we're not precise, it allows gaming media and various different journalists in particular to deliberately twist reality and gaslight their audience. Gamers don't understand, gamers don't get it, etc., etc. That's only possible saying those things because at times people are exaggerating the level of influence that Sweet Baby has. If one side says, oh my gosh, this one company is the reason for everything bad in video games, it makes it easy for someone else to respond with, haha, look how delusional they are. This company isn't the reason for every single problem ever in history. But when they are knowingly disregarding the fact that this company is a clear-cut example of industry practices that are making a very large number of core customers upset, well, I don't know. It's pretty self-explanatory. The end result? Now that the company has Streisanded themselves into oblivion, gaming media has inadvertently exposed its own incompetence yet again, as the two sides argue past each other, each condemning a straw man of their perceived enemy, which is accurate enough to instill passion and inaccurate enough to allow disagreement.
Listen, Upper Echelon is a really smart person. He's using very detailed speech, which I love, but I am going to have to really think about this and go back over it because I'm a little confused on what to think. Because I've seen so much backlash on Sweet Baby Inc. I do think that was dishonest. There's some dishonesty there. I don't like the way that she targeted that one person who didn't like their company. So that already makes me just not trust them. But yeah, I still need to go back over and see like that speech she was giving. I want to see that entire speech. It seemed a little problematic. Yeah.
Bottom line, Sweet Baby Incorporated, led by Kim Belair, very obviously tries to influence games at a core level, modifying or rewriting them through a diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, lens, but they probably aren't always successful. And now over 250,000 people follow a list of games they worked on purely for the purpose of avoiding them, which they caused by trying to get the community and its creator suspended from Steam. Gaming media, and certain journalists in particular, are jumping around wildly with their own foot stuffed in their ass because they want to defend this company desperately, but the only way to do that is to twist everything around enormously and argue against a position that basically doesn't even exist. And to argue what they want to argue, they basically have to lie.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you're going to argue it, but you're lying, then maybe you just aren't right. Like, why do you have to lie? Why do you have to embellish. Yeah, the way she says things is a little bit cloudy. You know what I mean? A gray area. So
the Sweet Baby Incorporated disaster is an example of how everyone involved can, and often does, deliberately misunderstand each other to try and make the other side look bad for profit. I'm guilty of it myself, though I do like to think I at least try not to have that issue most of the time. But that's up to the audience to decide. I'm sick of
cool shirt.
Links down below to support the video sponsor, cool. Of course. Thank you to Keeps. We have a spring collection of merchandise, limited edition, expiring soon. Pick one up if you want to. Also, other links as well, a VPN, locals and Patreon, various ways to support, etc., etc. But I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, so question everything and have a nice night.
What? I've never seen, I don't think I've ever gone over one of these videos. Why is there a giraffe? Y'all can tell me if you want. Okay, good video. That was a really good summary. I might go over some more videos on specific topics, especially ones mentioned in this video, so that I can understand a bit more. But yeah, when a company is already lying about stuff like this or overreacting to something small, I mean, that's a red flag. It's a red flag. And the diversity thing, I don't really care about. It's not a big deal, but there's just like a fine line, you know? But again, I have to find out more. Let me know what y'all think, if you found out anything that I should know more about, or if there's any other videos on this topic that you think will clear up the confusion for me. But yeah, I will leave this video in the description if you want to go watch it. And yeah, let me know in the comments what else you'd like me to watch, and I will see you in the next one.